You guys good?
We good?
Yeah.
All right, we got cameras. All right, we got Mark Johnson, head coach of Wisconsin women's hockey. Any questions?
Any animals
Can you spell
on
that,
the road on the
please?
way here?
Okay.
Any possums on the road when you were coming here? or-
No possums, turkeys are
Deer,
out,
whatever.
deer are running. Yeah.
You've been through a few of these banner raisings or drops or whatever. How do you manage that? Because there's a lot of emotions and a lot of competing things that can go on right before you're wanting them to be locked into playing a game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conversation I have, with the team prior to Friday even. We'll talk about it. I mentioned a couple of things yesterday, and so you just have to be aware of it. You have to enjoy the moment. They're special, and you certainly want to embrace them. And fans, and it's just a celebration. But the window of celebrating is about 10 or 12 minutes, and then the other team's ready to play, and you need to make sure you're ready to play. And so hopefully the first couple shifts in Friday night's game is similar to what I'm seeing in practice. And so we're looking for that consistency now, but knowing that there's going to be a bunch of distractions prior to the game.
See a weekend of play, you get some video on everything. How is there anything to reassess after a couple of games, having seen game action, or how you view any of the players and how they did after a weekend?
Yeah, of all the games throughout the season, this is, the first one is usually the one I get more anxious about, because you practice at a certain pace and a certain level, and you anticipate going into a game it might look this way, but you still have to play the game. And so the other part of it is that we now have some film on what game situations look like and things that we need to continue to work on, obviously, throughout the season. So for me personally, it's fun to get the first game out of the way. We were ready to play. We've been practicing for a number of days, and at some point, the players like to see other jerseys, and so everybody was excited to get our first game under our belt. And for the coaching staff, we're equally as excited, because now we have an opportunity to get better. And so we talked about some things Saturday morning after Friday's game. Worked on some of those things Saturday. Things looked better in that second game in some spaces and areas on the ice. And as I started practice yesterday, Monday's here, what do we need to do? We need to keep working on some things and try to make ourselves better this weekend. And that's the process. And, it's fun to get some games under your belt. The weather was 75 up there. It was sunny. Everybody's walking around with shirts and T-shirts on. And I haven't been in Bemidji maybe when I was 8 or 9 looking at Paul Bunyan with my dad. It was probably the last time I was in Bemidji when it was that warm.
You replaced one 5'4" lefty center wearing number 26 with another one on that line. What did Adele show you in that debut weekend?
Yeah, she's done really well. When you think about it, I don't think she's been here a month yet, when she first came over from her homeland. And so you throw all the things that she's had to go through, with getting registered, getting organized, getting the chance to meet her new teammates, practicing, our first road trip. She probably could have scored 2 or 3 goals Friday night's game, had some really quality opportunities, and it was fun for her, but probably more enjoyable for the team to see her score her first goal Saturday. And I think as she goes through the next couple of weeks and a couple of months, she'll get more comfortable with her surroundings. She'll get a better feel of who we are, what our league looks like as we travel around and play our opponents. And so I anticipate her to get more comfortable and even get better. But for her first weekend, a couple of games, I thought she did really well.
For a freshman to be in that position, you talk about how it takes freshmen a little while, but is she a little bit different, just given where she's come from, that the situation she's been in, your confidence in her to be in a spot like that?
Yeah, her hockey IQ is really high, and so you put her with Sims, who's got a real high IQ, and Lacey, 3 kids that think and look at the game and play the game in similar fashions. They're able to possess the puck. But as to your question, yeah, she's in a different space. She's played in a couple world championships. She's played over in Sweden a couple years. She's played against mature women. So unlike a lot of our freshmen, she's had a chance to play against older people in older situations and high levels. So as she comes in here, she gets to know our league and gets to know the players in our league and the different buildings. She just plays hockey. It doesn't matter where she's playing or what she's doing. She's just going to go out and play. For kids with high hockey IQs, their adjustment and their transition is much quicker than other kids.
Mark, Layla played defense, she played forward. Is that a kind of a game-by-game, almost shift-by-shift thing with Layla Edwards?
Good question. Not sure I have the answer. And so as I talked to the team Saturday, you know, as I put different line combinations, it was more about it's early in the season. You know, what are we going to look like in different scenarios? And so it's an opportunity for us to try some different things, move some people around. And one of them was more, you know, moving, you know, Layla back up front. And so, you know, she was, I think, the leading goal scorer in the country last year. She's capable of, you know, being an impact player. And is that in the forward position or is it the defensive position? So we saw some things Friday night that were really positive, and you know, then we saw some things Saturday that were equally as positive. That, to answer your question, I don't know. So it's going to be, so who we playing this weekend? Where can she, you know, be most effective? You know, you look at our lineup Saturday, and we had 4 balanced lines. You know, they're pretty strong 4 groups there, and you know, the defensive core, other than Jones, is what we had last year, you know, when we made our run. So saw something different Saturday and saw something, you know, that I did Friday. So again, we'll analyze the next couple of days and see where, you know, we think she best fits us.
With Maine this week, I'm curious, what's kind of the, you know, every team presents a unique challenge. What do you see the challenge being with Maine?
Well, I think, you know, they've got a more experienced team than what we played this past weekend. Bemidji, you know, if you look at their roster top to bottom, would you consider them young? They had a bunch of freshmen. Maine's going to be a little bit different. They'll play more of a physical game. And so the big thing is more about what we do and can we make some progress in different areas of the ice and different parts of the game than we did last week, and can we improve on some of those areas? And that's what I'm going to be looking for.
You saw this last year when you were out there with Molly being on the other bench, and someone that obviously didn't get a ring, but was big in the build-up to the building of this program to where it is now. Can you speak to that a little bit about what her importance was in those years, or this team was becoming what it became in the mid-2000s to see what we are today?
Yeah, she certainly was a big part of it. You know, Carla McLeod was another individual that was a big part of it. And so you look back over the history of the program and, you know, who built the foundation, who started that, who, you know, from a player standpoint, started to implement the things that were important to having a successful program. And so, you know, Molly was certainly part of that group, had a great individual career herself, you know, was in town a month ago, getting inducted into our Hall of Fame here at Wisconsin. And so, and then she, you know, she's doing the same thing in her coaching. You know, she's been an assistant coach, she's, you know, been a head coach, and, you know, for different programs and different areas, you know, sometimes it takes time to get to where you want to go. And, you know, she's, you know, still young as far as coaching out at Maine, and over the course of the next couple of years, I anticipate them to continue to improve year in and year out, because, you know, she's doing things the right way. The kids will play hard. They'll play, you know, a skilled physical game. And over the course of the next couple of years, you know, their winning record, I'm sure, is going to improve quite drastically, because she's going to be able to do the right things. And, you know, the recruiting part of it becomes important. But, you know, what she did in helping us lay the foundation, you know, a lot of people may not look at it or remember that name, but, you know, the people that were around during that time and the coaching staff, me included, really appreciate those individuals, because what we've been able to do for, you know, a long period of time was built on that foundation. She was certainly one of the players that started it and helped us build it.
May is a player who, it seems, you know, you have the trust in her, and she's willing to take on just about any role she's asked to. Over the last, you know, call it 8 months, what is her just impact then since she's gotten here, and how much further can she improve?
Maggie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think with a lot of our players, you know, when they start their second season, they start that sophomore year, you generally see a jump because of what they've done over the last 15 or 18 months. You know, she came in prior to her freshman year, worked out for 8 weeks. You know, had a good year last year. You know, probably was in a little different role than she anticipated, but did quite well, and then got back after it this summer and got a chance to go out to Lake Placid and work with the college group out there, and I think that helped with her confidence. And my big thing was hopefully she gets off to a good start. The first 4, 5, 6 games she does well, and sure enough, game 1 she gets a hat trick, and then I moved her to center because I wanted to see her play center the second night, and I thought their line that between Charlotte and Finley, I thought they were a really energized line. They were aggressive. They were hard on pucks. She scored another goal on a great pass from Finley. So she's gotten off to a good start. She works hard. Her body's starting to develop into a real athletic body, and so you watch her on the ice. She's a little quicker. She's faster, and so all that stuff together. If she continues to work hard, which she will, she'll continue to play well for us.
Do you know whether you'll have your players back from the U.S. camp for next weekend's games yet?
Things are looking very, very positive.
Okay.
Very positive.
Are those games still?
No, that's
Saturday, or is it up in the air still?
yeah, and so I know Canada's releasing their players that Thursday, so yeah, we're getting real close, and it's looking really positive. Yeah, it's a big series. I mean, one of the top teams in our league and in the country, and you're going at it early in October, so it'd be nice to be fully equipped.
Do you have a voice in this, as a college group, to say, hey, help us out a little bit?
Yeah, that's the hard part. You want to think you do, and we have a great relationship with both Hockey Canada and the U.S., but at the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do, and so unfortunately for us, we sort of have to wait and be patient and cross your fingers. But as I mentioned, it's looking real positive right now. But the other part of it is too, is so they'll be gone for either 5 or 6 days, and what they're doing in that time frame will indicate when they come back to us what kind of condition and shape is. So from a safety standpoint, you have to be conscious of that and understand what they're going through when they're gone, and then when they get back, how do we handle that?
Are there any points that that Adela is going to be gone for the summer?
It looks like she'll probably depart during that Four Nations break, that I call the Four Nations break, that week in November, which historically we've taken off. And so the difference with her is, she just has to travel farther. And as we all know, if you travel, over oceans, it's a little harder on body, especially if you have to go over there and then you got to come back. So again, things we're aware of. And so as they come back to us, what's going on? How's the travel been? What do you do with games and all that? And how's your body feel? And try to manage all that as we go through the next couple of months.
All right, all good.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.